If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
We are the wind in the sails of your business. We are your compass. Chart your course towards your targets. Africa Business Radio. Toward a profitable Africa.
There are 1.8 billion globally. That will make 75% workforce by 2025. That will outpace earnings of baby boomers in less than 10 years. Smartphones and tablets are the argument settlers and fact checkers of every conversation. Get more insights on African millennials on Africa Business Radio. Towards a profitable Africa.
Wow, it's been a type of week on this side of the world. I mean, I'm in Lagos, Nigeria, and the global news is really hitting home right now. I mean, it's been a type of week, right? I was telling Soji, that's the CEO of Africa Business Radio, just now that I think my week just went up and down and up and down with this expectation, that disappointment, this expectation. But, well, it's Friday and it's the African Millennial Radio Show nonetheless. I'm Tommy Wale, and I hope everybody out there is really doing good. You're doing fine. You are obeying the things that the precautions by the World Health Organization. Wash your hands, right? Stay at least 6 feet 1 meter, away from the next person. And I'm really observing that right now. That's why I don't have a guest in the studio. So we're going to have a very great person on a phone call, and I'm sure everybody who's going to listen is definitely in for a ride. All right, so let's get to business. This person is the founder of Campus Labs, a social enterprise focused on designing and implementing solutions that address the curriculum gaps in Nigeria's higher institution, also with a strong focus on entrepreneurship, employability, and technology skills for young people. Now, something very interesting that happened recently was him partnering with the US Department of State to run Nigeria's first Disability Hackathon, which featured 31 student-led teams in a 5-day marathon series of app innovation, prototyping, and testing aimed at creating market-viable technology solutions for persons of disability. Ladies and gentlemen, people everywhere, Ghana, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Sierra Leone, Cape Verde, I have Emeka Ossai in the studio in some way here today. Emeka, how are you doing?
Thanks. Hi guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, right, I would have maybe said, Emeka, would you mind maybe being in the studio 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks from now, just to be sure that your schedule was going to work, right? But the interesting side about what's happening, for sake of staying at home, isolating, and social distancing, was I just spoke with Emeka about an hour ago, and he said he's going to be up for it. So maybe that's the upside. that's an upside of this.
I know.
That's an upside of this, So I mean, just a phone call away, and we get the conversation going. So there's something I've noticed on the internet, especially this week. It's people saying I'm bored at home. There's nothing to do. I'm not sure I'm used to working from home. Another thing I saw was some economist talking about the fact that the SME sector actually employs 80% of the employed Nigerians, right? I think it could be like that in other African countries too. Now, because the SMEs would have to function by going out, with everything that is happening right now, their productivity is actually being affected. So
Absolutely.
there's something that has to do with maybe people being pseudo unemployed. And then that's why I could notice a lot of shouts about I'm bored and things like that,
Yeah.
It is. So I thought about it like, you know what? I was reading yesterday night and I was seeing so many things about taking the time out to focus on personal development and books to read, things you've not done before and things like that. And honestly, Emeka, I would have just come to the studio today to do this thing myself, but I said no. I think Emeka actually has that it would be in the best fit to have the conversation with, and I'm really what's it called now? Is he excited, happy, honored, privileged to have you in the studio today. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, wow. Thanks for the kind words.
Yeah. So there's something that I've noticed. I'm going to say it again. It's about this boredom thing, right?
Yeah.
Universities in Nigeria really are not particularly tempted to be universities. So if you are a graduate, it means that you actually have more work to do as regards studying the more. Now, if a lot of university graduates or millennials are saying that they are bored, I think there is double problem. I don't know what's called double wala. Now, Emeka, what would you really have to say about that? And then maybe you can just take it on things that you think they can be focusing on right now.
Yeah. Okay, thanks again. Hi, listeners. Hello, Africa. I mean, we are in an unprecedented time. I don't think anybody alive has ever been here before. I think the last time was, it's the record of the 1918 or so. So everybody's panicking, and for the first time, this is new to people. Usually you say, I want to stay at home because I want to refresh, I want some time out, I want to meditate, but you really can't go anywhere, So for people, it's new. And then psychologically, it can be very, very, for want of a better word, it can create a lot of stress on you, because you're even tired from doing nothing, because the human nature is designed to move around and all of that. However, not to sound like, but it's the fact, they say crisis is a ladder or a pit. We just have to choose something, and I think it's time to actually make the most of it. Yeah, for me, it's a bit challenging, being at home, working with kids, a little bit I have to lock the door so before they say, oh, I want more biscuits, I want more this, it's you cook, you're eating a lot, but I think it's time to actually say, okay, you know what, nobody's coming to check me, I'm not going to check anybody, so it's time to maybe learn something new, reflect and look at the competency gaps that I currently really have, where am I going to, what's my really professional or career plan, and is this the best opportunity, because I have something abundant now, which everybody complains about, which is what? Time. So how can I make the most of this time? What skills can I really learn currently? Do I want to improve on my writing skills? Do I want to improve on my presentation skills? Do I want to take a course online? Although I can see that it seems like there's a lot of people now, a lot of people are actually offering courses now from, all kinds of things. I won't be surprised. I was joking with someone yesterday, how to be even witchcraft, there are all kinds of classes online now, but you have yourself to blame if you come out of this and, you are not any better. So let's assume before you were maybe 5 gigabytes. By the time at the end of this, you should be 1 terabyte at least, because it's a function of what you have put on the inside of you. So the first thing I'll say is basically to learn a new skill. I know it's hard. What I really do is I work, try to watch, one movie, and then go back to work, and all of that, So that's the first thing I really say, Secondly, I'd say is for the young people who are at home, for university students or young people, is there an internship I can do remotely? How do I take advantage of this remote working experience? Okay. So it means that I can reach out to somebody, and offer my skills, in exchange for maybe for something little, or or for a connection and all of that.
So what type of skill do you see happening? Is it maybe some sort of a virtual PA, personal assistant, or?
That's one. A virtual assistant, some writing skills. I just assembled a group of young people, and we are trying to even engage much more online and be better at it. So some people are great at writing, some people are great at video and editing, to say, hey, you know what, for that course you want to take online, I'm very good with media, graphics, can I do that for you remotely? You don't need any physical contact with that. Everybody more like has a phone. So you record whatever you want to record, and they send it via a link or something, and the person sort of like edits where they are. So that's something that you can actually really, really do. So it's virtual PA, video editing, graphics, Adobe, Photoshop, and the list like really like even goes on.
Man, so
and why I say this?
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just make a comment on what you just said actually. So
yeah, go ahead.
The lady that made the new music video for this artist, Naira is a 21-year-old lady.
Just imagine.
Yeah, and then I was having that conversation with another lady I met last year, who was 20 years old at the time, and then she learnt UI UX herself via YouTube. You guys can go check out our website, AMI Designs. That's AMMIE Designs, and see the fantastic work she's done. So I'm saying this because I think this new decade, actually, there are going to be a lot of developments that will come from people learning things themselves. So that what people call the formal education really would be redefined with something. So you might want to teach someone something new right now with the mind of maybe, or with the thought of thinking the person doesn't know anything. But I think nowadays the person actually knows something first before coming to meet you in the classroom. So with what you're saying right now, I'm just making a comment on it that I think it's really a good time for people to really, really get more education and more skilled in this. I'm enjoying this.
Absolutely.
I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, exactly. Even people are even making hand sanitizers by themselves.
With aloe vera.
I saw somebody, to learn it online, took the formula and did that, and started, telling people, come pick it up at social location, just credit my account, and you pick up,
Wow.
So, I think for me, I'm trying to imagine a post-COVID world. I was asking myself this morning, what does it even mean? Because, there's a book that only the paranoid survive, and what is the need? As you rightly said, education has been disrupted. And it's only those who can learn by themselves, who can go and look for skills, and teach themselves certain things that most likely will be able to, prevail and, in that world. Another thing I wanted to say was that to ask people is asking myself, what are the global opportunities out there for me? Oftentimes we see a lot of these exchange programs, fellowships, scholarships, conferences, different things. You have to write a lot of essays.
Yes.
So the challenge has always been time. So now you have all the time in the world. Even for me, myself, I have on my Google Docs, I have about 8 opportunities. I put the links. And, and one by one, I'm going to be applying. If you go to like profellows.com, you will see like all kinds of programs. If you go to Opportunity Desk, you will see all kinds of opportunities. Because look, it's going to end at some point and the world is going to move on. So what are the opportunities that I can apply for right now? I have all the time. Maybe every 3 days I finish one essay, or 4 days. You even have help of people who can help you like review your essays, because there's a bit of people in their houses right now. So what are those opportunities that, I can actually really, really, apply for? I just mentioned Pro Fellows, Opportunity Desk, there's Youth Hub Africa, there are tons of them out there. It could be for that master's degree. Even if you're in your final year, there's nothing too wrong, or you're working, and you've been thinking of postgraduate study. This is the time to actually really do that research and ask questions and begin to put some of the things that you need together. I would also say something I found very interesting.
Okay.
I read an article this morning and shared with my friends. And I thought, what if we started something online where we shared what we're all reading? You know, you can't read the whole world. You're not God, So, there's something I read on foreign policy and the new world order that, that's possible. And I shared with somebody and people really added, and I thought, okay, what if we started an online interactive forum, on Instagram, and I'm sharing, this is what I'm reading, and people come to share the lessons that they're reading, the insights that they're gaining, from their reading activity, which I thought was a very fantastic, opportunity.
Okay, it sounds like something we can actually take up with the show.
What are people reading?
Yeah,
exactly. I was also thinking, this is the time to work your online profile. For some of us, even including myself, what does your Twitter look like? What does your Instagram look like? What does your LinkedIn look like currently? Do you want to revisit and tweak something? Because your shop, like you said, the SME guys, their shop is in brick and mortar. Your shop is online. Everybody is consciously or unconsciously selling something. So if somebody says to me, Wale Temo, you check, African Millennial, Get Up Inc., and you're checking. And so if those things are not really optimized for people to connect with you, this is the time to actually sit down and ask for some help to actually really check, and improve on your online impact.
Okay, let's have a very short break right now, and then we'll come back to talk more on this, especially as regards owners of businesses, right? Because something happened in the US, and then they said that about 3 million people are currently jobless, right?
Wow.
Yeah, in the US happened. I think I saw that yesterday. So we don't even know what stats has happened in Nigeria yet. So we need to check that and then see what maybe owners of companies should be looking at doing to at least keep the blood of the organization running for now. So let's go on a very short break and we'll be back in a bit.
Listen to this public service announcement on preventive measures against the spread of coronavirus.
All Nigerians should take care of their health and maintain hand and respiratory hygiene to protect themselves and others, including their own families, following the precautions. 1. Regular and thorough washing of hands with soap and water and use of alcohol-based hand sanitizer. 2. Maintain at least 1.5 meter 5 feet distance between yourself and anyone who is coughing or sneezing. 3. Persons with persistent cough or sneezing should stay home or keep a social distance, nor mix up with crowd. 4. Make sure you and people around you follow good respiratory hygiene, meaning cover your mouth and nose with a tissue or cough into your sleeve at the bent elbow or tissue when you cough or sneeze. Then, dispose of the used tissue immediately. 5. Stay home if you feel unwell with symptoms like fever, cough, and difficulty in breathing. Do not engage in self-medication. Please call the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and CDC toll-free line, which is available 24/7 for guidance. 0800 970 300.
This message is powered by Africa Business Radio.
Alright guys, welcome back, and it's been a very, very insightful conversation with Emeka Ossai. I mean, I knew this was going to be really, really huge, and that's why, if you go back to listen to this and you hear the way I started the show, I was really, really full of so much of excitement to have Emeka Ossai on the African Millennial Radio Show this afternoon. Alright Emeka, how are we doing though?
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Interesting conversation.
Yeah. So
interesting conversation.
So thanks for that. Everybody says that, and I'm wondering, really. Okay, let's go. Okay, it looks like we have about 10 minutes to go. So this thing that I talked about, right? That this report that I saw from the US and the drop in
unemployment rate
in unemployment or in employability. Now, I'm wondering what's going on in Lagos right now, or in Accra, or in South Africa, or in Africa, right?
Wow.
I don't want to think about it, right? These are environments. I mean, the US is an environment where at least people have some measure of productivity with the internet.
Buffer, yeah.
But here, I don't know. I don't want to think about it. Now, for owners of businesses, I don't even want to talk about the employees right now. I mean, the employees, the employees right now, because I think we've talked about things that they could, look at doing and things like that. What would you advise employers should do, especially for themselves and their employees this period? Maybe things that could just carry the team along and just keep the life of the business going, even if revenue might have dropped, right? Mm-hmm. What ways do you think the organization can at least still be going? Because when people come back, what I expect is there should be a surge, right, in revenue based on the ideas that people have incubated in this period. So that's just my thought. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, in terms of the employers, what they should do, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough period, to be honest. That's the first thing I'm really going to say. And I think I was in a conversation on this last week, 2 weeks ago. And one of the first things I said is, look, liquidity. Manage whatever cash you have currently. You have to cut off any excesses, anything that does not really matter. You have to cut it out. I was talking to some organization. I said, look, you also make a lot of money from advertising, and once you cannot make profit, what organizations do is, if you can't increase revenue, you cut down costs. Mm-hmm. So everybody has to be careful, So the first thing is to manage as much cash. I'd also say to sit down with the employees and be brutally honest with them. Sit down with yourself first as the owner of the business and be honest and look, this is it. If it means you yourself as the lead of the organization, taking a pay cut, you have to take that pay cut. And then sitting down with the employees and looking at what you have. Can I sustain them for another 6 months at this same current rate? Or another 3 months, another 90 days? If it's not, then you have to sit down with them and say, look, can we revise the conversation? The business is not making a lot of money, and what sacrifices are we all really willing, to make? Very, very important. I'd also say in terms of the invoices that are out, that have been issued, you want to sit down with your people who owe you money. You want to sit down with your accountant, or if you are the accountant, to say, how much money do I have out there? I have to sit down with somebody to, recently and look, oh boy, I can give you a 25% or 20% discount if you pay me now.
Honestly. That money is important. I was in this yesterday. Gosh, I was, I said 60. Me before 60%. I had to do 35% because as I know my people need to get
exactly. Yeah. So some people don't like owing. So you know what, guy? Let me take you off my people who you are owing. If you can pay a certain percentage, I said, okay, I can do 50% now. I'm like, okay, yeah, and I will remove the other part for you if you do. And he was one by himself, like, oh, I spent, you made the payment, So you want to sit down with people and have a very honest conversation. Then I also say, like, going to the businesses and asking, like, how can I help? Is there any way I can help? There are some things that you can actually really do for almost free. Because at the end of the day, human beings are about connection, emotional connection, and say, okay, what can I do? Is there a way I can help? Can I refer you to this thing? Oh, there's this facility somewhere. I was talking to an organization last week, and they were in a serious conversation in some debt issue. And I'm like, oh, how do we consolidate this, your liability, this debt? And all of that. And you cannot go there and be a trainer at the same time and not always thinking of collecting. How can I really, really help? And then in terms of the people you also owe to, you want to sit and have a conversation. Say, hey, man, if I can't pay today, or if I pay you today, would you also give me a discount? And then you see, okay, you know what? You want to give me a 1-year moratorium if you I think you don't really need the money, and I'll give you at an interest of so amount of money, something that is reasonable, that gives you enough money, because at the end of the day, the game is about cash now, liquidity. And then finally, I know for some people, they're in a very tough situation. I'd say is, what product can you sell now? What's that thing that has been on the shelf that nobody's buying? It's just there, sitting down as money. It's just there. You can't take it to the bank. You can't take it to anybody and pay for anything. It's not a what do we call it, economics? Legal tender. Get it off the shelf, right now. Write that proposal for somebody for a small amount of money. Do that review for a small amount of money. The extra skills that you can do. And who knows, maybe there's even a treasure. And I know there's treasure in this crisis. We just have to persevere and look deep. And at the end of the day, we'll come out stronger.
So, I like how you just ended it, actually, because I was thinking that prices start dropping everywhere. I hope there's going to be enough money in the economy, but then economies have been dropping, GDPs have been dropping, all of this. But then you ended it by saying that there's some treasure at the end of the day.
There is. Like you said, there's no buffer. I mean, if you're from Africa, I don't know where there's a buffer. You just have to be honest. Assume that if the government ever comes to your help, it's a bonus. What can I do to that? I know how a human mind is. If you make up your mind, there will be always a way. It will be hard, it will be tough, it will be rough, but there's always a way.
Okay, so there's this thing I usually just chip in to guests so far, especially when we started this year. So I know there is this whole virus thing going on, but then aside that, what do you think this decade is really looking like, right? So the last decade had the rise of the social media engagements, digital marketing, and then things like influencers and people really growing their economies via the internet. Now there's a new crop of people, because those people who did those things the last decade are older now. They're taking care of kids and their attention on the internet is dropping. Now there's a new crop who are actually bold and actually learn things themselves. So looking at all of this, how do you think this decade really is going to play out? Let's say 2029. What do you think will be happening?
Oh, wow. Really tough. I remember the books, everybody's an expert on what was, nobody's an expert on what will be, But however, from the indicators, we can see that, I was saying, for instance, that healthcare insurance is going to be like a big deal, for instance, going forward in economies like where we are, healthcare. I think there's going to be a lot of investment in healthcare, so I think healthcare and technology, marrying them there will be a great opportunity. Bringing in AI, machine learning, and all of those things, I think there's a huge possibility there. I also think EdTech will show us, because right now my daughter is learning, she's doing her homework. There are things online. The teacher is sending assignments, you are submitting there online. Life goes on. And so a new culture is going to be born, and I think for EdTech, there's like a great opportunity, And then lastly, I think that there's going to be, the world order is going to shift a little bit, I think, and we want to make sure that we build the right relationships in the countries that are really emerging from this crisis.
All right, man. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, this has been interesting. This has been insightful, right?
Thank you.
Guys, go on Instagram and check Emeka Enterprise. That's EMEKA Enterprise. Follow him. Ask a lot of questions, more questions from him. Engage him via the DM. Don't let his DM rest this afternoon. Same thing on Twitter also. And you should connect to him also on LinkedIn. That's Emeka Ossai on LinkedIn, right? Ask him questions, get him to consult online, and let's just keep this conversation going. Get Up Inc. and African Millennial Radio Show is really going to work on that What Have You Read platform, and I think we should have something running by next week. I mean, that would be educating at the end of the day, right? So guys, don't forget also, go on getupinc.com to take the African Millennial Report survey. And on this note, I'm not sure I want to go over the WHO things again, right? Just make sure you do the right things, guys. Do the right things. Wash your hands a lot. You don't have to hug people right now. You don't have to do the handshake. It's not going to be rude. Everybody would understand, right? All right. I have to go right now. See you guys, or is this see you guys, or you hear from me? I'll hear from you next week, Wednesday. Bye for now.
Cool on the beat.
1.8 billion globally. They will make 75% workforce by 2025. They will outspace earnings of baby boomers in less than 10 years. Smartphones and tablets are the argument settlers and fact checkers of every conversation. Get more insights on African millennials on Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.